The visual tone of the show is very much inspired by both the creatures and the landscapes and the environments. And we take a lot of effort to go to environments that really feel like a place that it would have felt like all the way back in the Ice Age. Even to the point of going to Svalbard, which is in the bottom of the Arctic Circle, staying on an ice-breaking ship, hiking 12 kilometers every single day with all our equipment to get to a location just to film in a valley that feels so untouched. And probably no one's ever filmed in it before, ever, that when you see mammoths moving through it, it just feels right and correct.
Everything we do in this project is to try and replicate the process that goes on when you make a wildlife film. Even though we're not doing the same thing, but we force ourselves into the same constraints because that gives the authenticity of it. We do it so that it looks like we struggled to get rushes. It looks like we had to compromise. It looks like the camera couldn't quite get in the right place. It looks like the editor had to scratch his head about getting a different angle on it. When the show comes together, it looks like it was shot footage. Of course, everything is really precisely drawn out in our world, but it's this kind of dark art of make it look like it wasn't.
We decided that we wanted to try and give our filmmaking crews as much of a way of responding to some form of stimulus, and we thought puppeteering would be the best way.
We knew that there were creatures which needed to be built and filmed in a natural history style, and what was incredibly challenging was that we needed to build these things to travel around the world with our team, going and doing this on small locations with small teams. So all of the puppets that we needed to build needed to be light, robust, and able to be packed down into a small blue suitcase like this.
We would act out the performance of all of these characters in the wild, as a filmmaker in natural history would do. We would go 500 meters away on a 1000mm lens and really react and respond to all the happy accidents and nuances of what the puppeteers gave us. And then this would inspire and inform both our animation performances and our camera language later on.
These are really sophisticated, articulated avatars of our creatures. And what that allowed us to do is for the camera operators to shoot a reference in a really subtle, nuanced way. Because a lot of what we do in the real natural world is lots of tiny little micro camera operation, little full focuses, little drifts, little anticipations of where the animal's going to go. Now, if there's no animal in the frame, which there isn't, of course, because we haven't made it yet, really hard to pull that off in any convincing way. But as soon as you have a puppet in there, operating as the animal would, sniffing at the ground, looking around, looking over to another character, all these things, the camera operator is in heaven because he knows exactly when to time that pull focus. So when you then go into the VFX world and replace those puppets with the creatures, you've got all that camera movement in there, and that brings an energy to the shot, and an authenticity to the shot, and a narrative to the shot that we haven't been able to do before, and I don't think other people have been able to do before. And again, just add to that sense of, I'm there, it's happening, it's real.
The only way to have the audience to really connect with what they're looking at, emotionally connect with the animals, is to make everything look real. When you animate animals, especially for a documentary, the less they do, the more realistic they will look. But at the same time, you're watching something and it has to entertain you somehow. So it's very subtle, the edge between having something that is interesting but not too performant, too exaggerated, that breaks the suspension of disbelief. I hope that the motion of these animals look real. What I really hope is that the audience, when it's going to watch this documentary, they will feel empathy with the creature, with the character. They will feel emotionally connected with the characters. Even if they forget they're watching digital character, they're watching real animals. And that, I believe that we did it. We pulled it off.
What we have done in this series is strive for, and I think achieved, the most authentic representation of this world that is possible by being restrained.
To work with something as traditional as natural history, and then to blend that with this cutting-edge visual effects and computer graphics, while slotting into the middle of it with this timeless art of puppetry, the fact that we get to be a part of that process is so incredible, and I feel lucky, and I think my whole team feels lucky about it. And the artistry, the absolute love, passion, and timeless traditional arts that are going into these puppets is incredible to see being used in such a modern way.
It's a real privilege for me to be able to creatively kind of conduct a team of really, really great musicians who are the artists, and that's across the animators, the creature effects team, and to be in a position where everybody is into the job and loving their work and so excited about a project that is different to what they would normally do, to me is like one of the great joys of doing the job. And it's a real privileged position to be in because I get to be part of the process of inspiring the people to do that work. I think that the endeavour of going out into the world and documenting what is incredible about where we live is a really noble pursuit, and I think it's really important, and I really hope that it's an art form that lives a very, very, very long life, and I look forward to seeing many more shows from the same people that I've worked with.